Speaking to CBS News, the IRS whistleblower revealed himself. Now, this just happened. This is a new guy since Monday, okay? Has revealed himself as a supervisory special agent, Gary Shapley. He is part of the IRS's Criminal Investigations Department. He is a 14-year veteran at the agency and currently oversees a 12-man team that specializes in international tax and financial crimes. He told CBS News that he began documenting his concerns about the Hunter Biden investigation in June 2020, 5 months after being assigned the sensitive investigation. There were multiple steps that kept being slow-walked. They were just completely not done, and it was happening at the direction of the Department of Justice. When I took control of this particular investigation, I immediately saw deviations from the normal process. It was way outside the norm of what I've experienced in the past. So this is his first interview. He sits down with CBS, and they take him seriously and treat him seriously. He said each and every time it seemed to always benefit the subject. And I got to the point where that switch was turned on with me and I couldn't stay silent anymore. So we now know we have the IRS along with the Department of Justice doing all kinds of things that they shouldn't be doing on the Hunter Biden front. But it's not just Hunter Biden. IRS investigation into Matt Taibbi. Here's the latest on that. On Wednesday, yesterday, the House Judiciary Committee sent a letter to the IRS commissioner demanding all documents and communications related to the agency's decision to launch an investigation into Matt Taibbi. Now, who's Matt Taibbi? Matt Taibbi is a journalist. He's always been kind of a left kind of guy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And he has, been red-pilled, and he's not a conservative. He's just telling the truth. And he's being a journalist. He is the guy that really tried to make sense of the Twitter files. He was one of the leaders on that. According to the letter, the IRS's inquiry was initiated December 24th, 2022. That is the same day that Taibbi released the report detailing the collusion between Twitter and the federal government.
Subtle, guys.
Yeah, very subtle. Well, it was not only on the same day, it was December 24th. So it was Christmas Eve. I don't know about you, but there's not a lot of work going on Christmas Eve. But the IRS are busting their ass, okay? December 24th. And it was a Saturday. So somebody was burning the midnight. It might have been Bob Cratchit because he was afraid and he wanted the extra scuttle of coal from the IRS. So the documents passed on to Twitter by the FBI-led Foreign Influence Task Force. Taibbi revealed Twitter was receiving content recommendations, blah, blah, blah. Joe Biden and the energy company Burisma. The report also showed that Twitter, along with Facebook and dozens of other tech-related firms, regularly attended FITF-led gatherings where companies often received an OGA briefing. What is an OGA briefing? That is a euphemism for intelligence services in general, in particular the CIA. So the IRS has said, yes, we sent the letter on the 24th, okay? And that was 9 days after he filed his 2018 tax return. But they said, we called him over and over again to verify his return because it met identity theft criteria, and we couldn't process it. 9 days after they get this return to them, 9 days on Christmas Eve, on a Saturday, the IRS is like, we just can't wait any longer. We can't do it. We've got to process this. because we're concerned about him. This IRS form looks like it might have been identity theft. So he says they never reached out to call them, They said, we did it twice, and then we just had to send agents over to... These guys are bending over backwards.
It's really nice of them to spend all that individual time on one person like that.
Nice. Now, the tactics in which they used, apparently now we know, to dig up any dirt they could find on Taibbi, the agent assigned from the IRS was instructed to perform an extensive investigation, which include using publicly available search engines, commercial investigative software, consumer affairs, LexisNexis, and Google. The documents provided to the committee also purportedly show the agency kept a dossier on Taibbi, including information such as his phone number, voter registration records, whether he had a concealed weapons permit, and whether he had hunting or fishing licenses. I don't know. That seems like maybe they weren't concerned about identity fraud. So you have now 2 cases of the IRS just today that I can report on. Now, the FBI has just demanded answers the Republicans have just demanded answers from the FBI on the January 6th pipe bomb investigation. Andy Biggs, Jim Jordan, and Bill Posey wrote to the FBI and Director Wray saying, we have been asking for an update on the pipe bomber. We have witnesses, or we have whistleblowers that are saying, you ain't doing jack on this. In fact, the whistleblower testimony on the investigation on the unusual character, including one disclosure that revealed that the Washington field office asked the FBI field offices to canvass all confidential human source nationwide for information about the individual that might have put the pipe bomb out a year after they laid the bomb. Now, you would think that this would be something they were all on top of, but they waited a year. Still no motive, still nothing. A former FBI assistant director said they should have yielded some results by this point, but gosh darn it, they just can't find it. Now, couple it with this last story and tell me you've seen anything like these stories so far. Okay, I've seen people in the Tea Party targeted during the Obama administration. Before that, I had never seen it before in my life. Okay, so I had seen that, got it. I have not seen the Justice Department go in and stop an investigation by the IRS. That's totally new. I have not seen anything like what the FBI has been doing lately, and the pipe bomb and the January 6th, and they can't find the people who are burning churches, but gosh darn it, they can find those people that have violated the FACE Act. Now this one. The alleged neo-Nazi accused of ramming a rented U-Haul truck into the White House security barriers is being held in federal jail pending a detention hearing next week. Sai Kandula, 19, not an American citizen, I believe from India. He appeared in federal court yesterday. He is from Missouri. If you don't know this story, it is bizarre. He slammed a box truck. Now, a box truck, it was either a Ryder or a U-Haul, and clearly marked it's a moving truck. Now, when I think of somebody going after a federal building in a moving truck, especially with the information that the FBI knows that 60,000 tons of ammonium nitrate have just disappeared from the railway. Have you heard that story? 60,000 tons. It's on the loose. And somebody pulls a giant U-Haul van and is trying to break through the fences of the White House and get close to the White House. As a police officer, investigator, Secret Service, what is your first thought? There's fertilizer in the back of that U-Haul truck. Okay? When I saw the U-Haul truck, that was the first thing I thought of was Timothy McVeigh. Okay? And I know that 60,000 tons of that fertilizer has just gone missing. Okay, so he slammed it into the barriers along Lafayette Square. He allegedly has planned this attack for 6 months. We know because of his writing, has been released, can't get anything from Nashville, but this guy, he had to get to the White House, seize power, and be put in charge of the nation. So immediately I think the guy has mental problems. He was accused of threatening to kill the president if that's what I have to do. He praised Hitler and Nazism. He is not a white guy. He was originally charged with threatening to kill, kidnap, or inflict harm on the president, vice president, or family members, as well as an assault with a dangerous weapon, reckless operation of a motor vehicle, trespassing, and destruction of federal property. That's what he was charged with. Does all of that make sense so far? Okay, I can't place the Nazi flag. And the other thing that bothered me was the fact that if I am in charge of the White House and I have access to all of this information, if Glenn Beck knows that 60,000 tons of ammonium nitrate is missing, and I see that Ryder truck or that U-Haul truck, I immediately say, get the hell away from that truck, back everybody out. Get everyone out of Lafayette Square. Now, we have seen pictures of what happens next because they only backed people up a little bit. And this is where it really gets hinky. We'll talk about it in 60 seconds. So my first question is, the park police that are guarding Lafayette Square and the Secret Service at the White House, everybody involved in protecting the White House, they see this truck. They got a guy who's pulled out a Nazi flag out of his backpack. They put him to the ground. Then they display the Nazi flag. Never seen that before. They lay it out nicely on the ground because they've only backed the people up a little bit, so people are taking pictures of it. Then, what do you think would be done with that truck? I would think you would call the bomb squad and you would say, get to the White House. We have a truck. There may be a bomb in it. And you would have video of that little robot coming to open that door, right? And you probably wouldn't have video except from the robot because you would have moved people out at least a block away. They didn't do that. Instead, they just open up the door. And then they start rifling through stuff and taking stuff out and putting it out almost like you do when you've confiscated drugs so the media can come in and take pictures of it. They lay it out. I've never seen that before. Never seen that before. Okay, so we either have out of control police that are working for the safety of our president who should not be there. Because what the hell are you doing? Why are you up? Where was the bomb squad? But then it gets really weird. Yesterday, the DOJ takes his charges, remember, charged with threatening to kill, kidnap, or inflict harm on a president, vice president, or family member, as well as assault with a dangerous weapon, reckless operation of a motor vehicle, trespassing and destruction of federal property. He planned it for 6 months. They downgraded his federal charges to a single count of destruction of federal property. Can somebody help me with that? They have been trying to put people who are extremists, white nationalists, they say, extremists. Here's a guy, he's not white, but he has a Nazi flag. He loves Hitler. He said he's going to kill the president. He actually takes a truck and tries to get it close to the White House. And you're only charging him? Didn't you put grandma in prison for the rest of her life for parading? You're going to charge him with destruction of property? Now, I'm not alleging anything because it could just be, this is a POC thing. Oh, he's a person of color. He's a minority. He shouldn't be charged. I don't know. It could be that everybody in Washington is on drugs. They're zombie robots. I don't know. But this isn't right. Something is wrong. And I think all of these stories tie into the same thing. The same thing. You cannot have a justice system and Capitol Police who have been weaponized, who had this guy planning for 6 months to kill the president, and they let him go on a destruction of property crime when you're putting everyone in jail that you can find claiming they're a white supremacist. You can't have it both ways. What the hell is going on?